Hello again. Okay, I think the analogy Emil presented was perfect. It seems that to keep, they're saying that to keep a few bad, rotten apples, tenure is keeping a few bad, rotten apples, when in reality it's keeping a lot of red, gold, shiny ones. And with that point being said, tenure was meant to protect good teachers. That's the reason for it. It's not redundant whatsoever. The reason we have tenure is for security purposes. The basic security purpose that we get is if a teacher feels that they're being pressured into voting for something, or they're being pressured by school administrators to join some sort of movement. That's why tenure was made in the 1980s, and I think that's like the basis of the argument, is that why was tenure made in the first place? Too easy? It's really not easy at all. Tenure teachers can still be fired. Much of the public debate over tenure has focused on whether it is possible to fire tenure teachers who are no longer making the grade. The fact is, contracts between unions and school districts in no way forbid the firing of tenure teachers. So they're saying that by tenure, these teachers get this lifetime guarantee. That's not the truth. As my partner mentioned, tenure teachers can still get fired. You don't have an absolute guarantee with tenure. It's a system that evaluates teachers and then can also put them back on probation and make them get tenure again. So again, tenure is an ongoing process which is going through reform, but the basis of it is that you can still get fired if you have tenure. You don't have ultimate job security. I don't think there's any profession in the world that has ultimate job security. If you do a bad job, you will eventually get fired. And then our legitimate reason for keeping tenure is the job security. In 1921, California is the first state to establish teacher tenure. A long time ago, teachers were subject to rules which impeded on basic rights. For example, teachers were told what time they should be home, which activities they should engage in, who they could associate with. Teachers were often fired for breaking these ridiculous rules. That's absolutely absurd, that you get fired because you didn't go home the time the administrator wanted you to go home. That's why tenure was established, for basic certain rights that weren't protected by the 14th Amendment. We wouldn't have to have tenure if these issues didn't occur. Teachers came together to gain protections against such rules. They wanted their own rules were conserved. They wouldn't be fired for no reason. That's what tenure is. It's being fired for no reason. It's not be out there to keep lousy teachers. In addition, they brought up the point about administrators, which they didn't really go back and emphasize on, and which is basically the basis of our argument. It's not the tenure system itself, but it's those people who are administering tenure. The administrators are at fault here, not the tenure system itself. New York State United Teachers wrote in their February 11, 2011 article, Mythbusters, the Truth About Tenure. Unions don't grant tenure, administrators do. Too many school boards and superintendents attack tenure rather than hold their own managers accountable. Why are we letting these teachers get to tenure? Why are we letting them get there? Tenure is granted by the Board of Education on recommendation of the superintendent, but many schools do a poor job of evaluating and supporting teachers. We complain that we have lousy teachers, but the administrators are the ones who let them get tenure. If they didn't let them get tenure in the first place, then we'd never have a problem with tenure. So it all really goes back to the circular argument and goes back to the administrators being at fault and not properly evaluating these teachers before giving them tenure. Instead of weakening or abolishing tenure, administrators should create a more thorough or meaningful teacher evaluation process. Administrators are responsible for evaluating teachers before granting and helping to develop, and they're also supposed to help develop struggling teachers. So even if you missed a teacher and you let them get tenure, you should continue to help them improve in areas that they're weak in. And as my partner mentioned, the main benefit of teaching is that teachers have tenure. Their salaries aren't the highest, and this is one way to get people into this field. So that's why we think that we should protect the good teachers out there, the good apples. So that's why we should not eliminate tenure.